Okay, now we're recording. Welcome everybody to the live Q&A / PassionPod recording for the After Gabriel's Inferno Q&A with the cast and director. With us we have Giulio Berruti, who played Gabriel. We have Melanie Zanetti, who played the lovely Giulia. We have James, who played Paul. We have Julia Barrett-Mitchell, who played Rachel. Wow. And then we have the lovely Margaux, who played
Christa.
Oh, no, not Paulina.
CFP.
Yes, CFP.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. I've totally just rewatched the movie. Just kidding. So sorry. But we're very excited to have you all here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure.
We also have the lovely Tosca Musk, who is the lovely director of this film and the founder and CEO of PassionPlix. And we have Allie Whitaker, who is our director of marketing PR, and myself, who is the director of development. I'm Lauren. Totally prepared for this, guys. This is great. We have a fun time. We have quite a few people watching. This is really exciting. So to start off, I thought I'd ask you a couple questions, T, if you're ready and you're bracing yourself with wine. I love it. What do you think sets Gabriel's Inferno aside from other romance books and movies?
Well, the difference with Gabriel's Inferno compared to some of the other ones that we've done is that it's a very slow burn. So it's one of those things where we really need to have two people reconnect, who have connected before, reconnect, and then make their way through it till the very end. So it's 5 hours and 15 minutes of a slow burn and then a pretty exciting burn.
I love it. And to still not spoil the ending for anyone who maybe couldn't have watched it but will be watching this Q&A later, people are definitely already saying that they're frustrated by the ending. Part one stops.
Yes, you're just done, Tosca.
Getting crazy. Very well done.
The funny thing is that most people actually thought that they knew when it was going to end and were saying earlier on when we had the cocktail red carpet, they're saying that they love me now, but they'll hate me after the movie. And I think that's exactly what's happening now, which is kind of fun.
Exactly. And a lot of people are saying that they loved the attention to detail. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about what you think is the most important when adapting a book to screen, because you always have a lot of attention to detail with these things.
Yes, well, and I'm sure all of the actors that are here with us today can say how much I was very specific when it came to what had to be done. I'm sorry, I'm actually kind of nervous. I don't know if anybody else is feeling this way. I'm like nervous, I'm tired, having a glass of wine, I'm on Zoom, sitting on a cushion.
I'm right there.
Bedroom. It was so important to me that everything that we filmed was exactly how it was in the book. So I'm a big fan of the books, and so I wanted to make sure that this was made for the fans. And of course, I had the incredible support of Sylvain Renard, who was gave an immediate reaction to anything that I came up with when we were designing the sets or casting anybody here. All of you were selected as well by the author. So it was very nice to really get to spend that much time with somebody that I'm a fan of, and then really do everything possible to recreate exactly what I read in that book. So if somebody was touching a cheek or giving a wink or whatever they were doing, I just wanted to make sure that we were doing that exact thing.
I love it. And I can see right now that all of the fans have also loved it so far. Those who have seen it. And to talk more about that, how does it feel to have part one out right now? To have at least 500 people have watched it so far, and it releases later tonight. Is that not a crazy feeling?
It's super crazy. It was also so interesting and weird to do this virtual red carpet, and then everyone goes and watches the movie by themselves and then comes back and tells us about it. And you know, in the past, we've always had these beautiful premieres where we've had 200 or 300 people sitting with us and cheering, or you know, asking questions out loud, and then a big party afterwards. And so this is surreal, but it's out. I've watched it, and they seem to like it. That's really good.
See, they're loving it. They're really loving it.
I can't believe how fast those reviews were popping into the founding members lounge. People are, I've never seen it. Like
Every
that.
2 seconds, I was refreshing, and it was 15 more posts to go through and approve. It was insane. The reviews are flooding in, guys, and they're losing their shit. They're going crazy.
Hi, May.
A live Q&A, my mom's come in.
Hey! Nice to meet you.
Usually your mother would be joining for the premiere, so this is kind of like that.
Yeah, she's always there.
Yeah. I love it.
She hasn't watched it. So.
Well,
You haven't watched it?
We'll watch it tomorrow.
I didn't even show it to my family. I showed it to nobody.
Wow. I mean, you should
Tomorrow.
but that's exciting. All right, and a quick question for kind of everyone in the cast, or everyone, including you as well, Tosca. Were you guys surprised by the large fandom that came with this movie and with the book?
I had no idea. Is the honest answer. I haven't read, besides, classics like Pride and Prejudice, which I've read more than any other book ever. I haven't really read romance novels, and I didn't really understand that there was this incredibly passionate, excited, very kind, gorgeous audience that comes along with these books. So that was incredible. Really?
That's awesome.
I would say that I was quite, scared at the very beginning, because I know that the expectations are very high, and then I've been blown away by the kindness and the support of all these people. So it's been an amazing ride, I have to say. Overall, it's been very special.
And you, Margaux, how do you feel?
CFP.
I think for me, I was kind of scared because Christa's obviously like the villain in the movie. So I was like, oh God, these people are going to hate me and they're going to say terrible things about me and all this stuff. But they've been like so nice, and they're like, I love you, but I can't wait to hate you. Like that kind of thing. And I'm like, that's so weird, but I love it. They've been so friendly. Like the audience behind Gabriel's Inferno is one of the most loving I've ever experienced, for sure.
That's awesome. And you, James?
Yeah, just harping on what everybody else said, exactly the same thing. Everybody's just so kind, so generous, so supportive, and they're all like, the first one, like, people were sending messages, you're amazing, James. And I was like, oh, wow, they just watched it. They just watched it. So it's really just really, really nice of everybody. And I just feel like like everybody's saying supported and loved. And like, after watching the film, like I like what you said, Tosca, it's a film for the fans. And I was really excited about it. So it's, I think everybody's going to love it. Can't wait for part 2.
Yeah, they're going to freak. And you, Giulia?
Yeah, I was definitely surprised. I think I was mostly surprised at the reach around the world and just seeing the fan accounts from the dozens and, I don't know, 100 countries of fans that are, into this film, and how attached they are to these characters, and to see them expand on us being cast in the film and really attaching to us as the characters has been really special to see.
Yeah, we're really lucky to have worldwide fans that are just here for all the excitement, and especially this book has, I think, spread our reach a little bit further, because there were just so many diehard fans globally as well.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And UT, how does it?
Look, one of the most beautiful things about making this movie, all the movies that we've made are really awesome. Is my thing being weird? So all of the movies that we made, I love, and of course. There's a little piece of me in every single one of them. But the difference on making this one compared to some of the others is this particular community. The Gabriel's Inferno community live for kindness, and they live for being good and nice to each other and being supportive. And I think that comes directly again from the author, Sylvain Renard, who also speaks with such gentleness and I guess just general kindness. Like every single thing that they said was always just with this this calm, kind voice. And I think that that's what this audience reacted to as well. And that's what the story is for us.
It's awesome. And I know, Tosca, you had obviously read the book many, many times before filming. But how about you guys as a cast? How many of you read the book actually before stepping on set?
I had read the book.
Nice.
Yeah, did a speed read, and straight up.
I had it too.
You read all of them though. Then you read all three before we even finished our conversation.
Yeah. My speed read skills came in handy.
That's awesome. And Giulio read them as well. That's awesome.
I had not before I got there. I think it was a matter of being cast before we started filming. There was only enough time to read the script because the script is so long. I think I just tried to prepare with the material that I had as much as possible, and based on what was there in the script, bring that to life as much as possible in the time that I had before we started filming.
Totally fair.
Yeah, for those of you out there, the script is 200 pages and the book's 450 pages. And normally a script is 95 to 110 pages, something like that. And so when you have a 200-page script and then you have, you know, me directing it and Melanie and Giulio who both read the books, and we were like, hang on, there's more stuff we should add in there. Let's add this in, let's add this in. And we just keep adding things into it. So our 200-page script is probably about 208 at this point.
And it turned into a 5-hour plus movie. So
it's funny because I actually asked Tosca. I asked Tosca once, you think you're gonna cut some stuff out of the script? And she was like, yeah, of course. At the very end, we're gonna cut a lot of things down. And then she called me back and she was like, well, we cut a lot of things down. Now it's 207 pages. So we cut 1 page. So I was like, oh wow, that's impressive. It's good.
Exactly.
I think it also relates to the attention to details question. I think we were in really good hands, or at least as someone who didn't read the book, I was in good hands, because there would be days on set where Tosca would say, oh, the color of the glasses isn't right, or like the book, the bag isn't right. It has to be this way in the book. Or I would ask, like, can I paraphrase this one line? And Tosca would say, no, it's from the book. You have to say it this way. It's like, okay. So it was very true to.
Yeah, we have to say that Tosca was very, very respectful of the readers. You know, she really made this movie out of a heart. Makes sense? Out of her heart.
From the heart, yeah.
And but she really keep it in mind how people and fans wanted to see it. You know, she really made it out with the eye of a fan, basically. And I think this was at the very beginning, it was quite shocking. I didn't read the book before the script, because most of the time you can get an idea what a character will be like, and then you read the script and it's different. But I have to say that straight after I had the chance to read the book, and actually the script was the book, and we filmed the book, which was quite surprising. Really, and the amount of details, the amount of attentions that she had was even sometimes difficult to deal with, because, you know, maybe your instinct wants to go in a different direction, but she was like, no, laser focus.
Of course.
I know that Melanie especially knows what I'm talking about. There are 2 words. There are two main words. It was like, first one is rabbit, and the second one is please be Gabriel. And I was like, okay. Less Giulio, more Gabriel. Okay.
Amazing. Just like, all right, check back in. Here we go. Amazing. And what about you, Margaux? Did you get a chance to read the book first?
So when I got the script, I had read through it, and then once I agreed to do the job, I downloaded the book on my Kindle, and I was going to read it like on the flight over. And as I was reading it, I was like, this is exactly the script. Like, I don't know. I was like, it's literally like verbatim. I was like, this is the exact same thing. And so I stopped reading it like halfway through, to be honest, because I was like,
it is. It's a condensed version of the book.
Yeah, and I have to say that I sent a text to James to basically say what the book was all about, and yeah, so he basically read the script a little bit, but not even much, and
Just read your text.
Oh my.
I mean, you pulled off a great performance having barely read the
But it is, I have to say, it's really awesome to see all you guys, because I'm, you know, as we get closer to this release tomorrow, we've just, you know, we've been in this world, and Margaux, our editor, was with us earlier today, and I are still every day in the edit suite, cutting part 3, and you kind of forget that, because we're just living in this world so much, you kind of forget all the people, all those little moments that we all had on set together. And so I was scrolling through pictures today, and like each moment that was captured by the photographer, and just all the memories of us making this very, very long, now miniseries, not intended to be, but suddenly miniseries. I mean, it was just so much fun. And so it's so nice to see you guys, because it's like we're all back together again, even though we're all over the world, literally.
I'm sorry, Giulio's screen is frozen. It's really making me laugh.
Oh, he's back.
all right, you guys see me now?
Yeah, sorry, that was funny.
You want to know what I was doing? I was sending to Ellie a strange face, because we always do this trick to each other, and then I was sending a text to Melanie saying, "It's nice to see you, poop face."
Oh my God.
Sorry.
I'm gonna share it with everybody.
It's very
But it's
almost
funny, because this is the. Sorry.
No, you're fine. What were you gonna say?
No, this is basically the attitude that we had along all the movie, and it's great, because it's like a family, and we've been through a very, very hard working times, but overall the spirit was always high, and we were so happy to be together, except of course for Christa Peterson, but we were very happy. And it's funny, because actually James was the only one.
Hope for. I mean, my God, if it was the real Christa, I'd be like terrified.
It's funny, because James at 8 p.m. in the evening was like, "So I'm having a pizza right now, and then I'm gonna go to sleep, because at 4 a.m. I'm gonna wake up and meditate and train, and then I'm gonna."
I know.
Wow, I was so impressed with that.
What are you talking about? What are you saying about me, G? What's this?
No, I'm saying that
exercising, and we were like,
I was so impressed about your
your schedule's a lot
schedule.
different than mine, G. You were working like nonstop. I'd come for half a day and be like, "Paul's scene's over, see you later," and the G and Mel would be there for like 20 hours in Tosca. And I'd be like, "Okay, it's all good."
Yeah, see, I was just about to say that you guys, like, Tosca creates these families on every set, which is really exciting, and the fun part of these Passionflix films is that everybody on the crew and cast becomes a little family for a short while. So it's nice when you can be reunited in a setting like this. And already banter's back to being
it's exactly how it is. Yeah. But it's really, and I think, again, I'm so lucky, because this is 3 books, and we've shot 1 1/3 of the books, and so the fact that we all get to come back together again is exciting. I look forward to seeing you guys when we can.
Again?
Unfortunately, Giulio, you have to see the
Yes,
trailer.
you do have to see it again. You'll love it.
I know.
And I have a couple of questions for you, Giulio and Melanie. The first question is, what is it that drew you to the roles of Gabriel and Giulio? Melanie, if you want to start, you can talk about what drew you to this role the most.
Oh, what drew me to the role?
Yeah.
The character, as in what drew me to the character of Julia. I really like her quiet strength that she has. That there's a level of stoicism that Julia has that I think is quite beautiful. She's also incredibly kind, and I think the heart of Julia is really reflected in the Passion Flicks followers, really the sense of community is this, you know, bedrock of kindness, which I think is so lovely. And she's also super intelligent, which I like. And when push comes to shove, she really is there and stands her ground, which I love as well. So those are the things that really attracted me to Giulia.
I love that. But yeah, Giulia's one of my favorite female romance heroes, just because she is so strong, and it's beautiful to watch throughout the books as her strength comes through. And Giulio, what about you with Gabriel? What drew you to him?
Well, I think there's a very big contrast in Gabriel's character, which is, you know, the way he carries himself around, the fact that he's always trying to be hard and harsh on people, but at the very end is a very sweet guy, and is a guy that he struggles a lot with vulnerability, like many of us in real life, and he's trying to cover this vulnerability. He doesn't want to show people that are suffering, because at the end of the day, he's really suffering. He carries a lot of pain, and I think that what makes him love Julia so much is the fact that she's kind of a medicine for him, you know. She's capable of letting him feel better, and is very much like when we fell in love with someone, you know, somehow we're released from everything that we had in the past. We feel new again, you know. And also a funny fact, the fact that he can drink a couple of wines and completely forget about the day before. And I'm very, I was very curious about it. I was like, wow.
It was not. It was a lot.
I want to learn that.
Incredible.
But
You're saying Emerson's a lightweight.
A question came in asking if you were really drunk for
Very
that.
stressful day.
What was that, Allie?
I said a couple of people wrote in and asked if Giulia was really drunk during those scenes.
They really loved drunk
amazing
Gabriel.
drunk.
Yeah.
They loved drunk Gabriel so much.
You played an amazing drunk. It was hilarious.
Chef Sunny,
Gabriel's my favorite.
yeah, we had so much fun that day, I have to say, that overall, yeah. And it's the first time that I was actually playing a drunken guy on a movie. I think it's I think it was very fun to play. It's something that I always feel comfortable to play something that is out of myself, you know. Like I prefer to camouflage myself into different dresses, into different attitudes, and I think that, I don't know, it just came very, you know, I don't even drink that much, to be honest. I have to say that I cannot even, you know, take this from my past. I had a couple of crazy nights when I was 20s, but they were so crazy that, like Gabriel, I don't remember them. I just what was about it. So I don't know, but I have to say that day was so
Giulio,
funny.
you're
And
Italian.
Melanie, sorry.
You're Italian and you don't drink?
I legitimately was about to say that.
We don't drink
Italian?
that much. Like Italian pizzas, they don't really drink.
Like, we don't drink that much.
Like,
We only drink at 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11.
I know, but we eat. We don't really drink that much. Like French people drink much more than us, but we don't have that really massive. Like, we like to drink in a good way. We really like good wines and good things, but we don't really get drunk. It's not really on our culture. But I have to say that day, I was really carrying myself around like a drunken man to stay in a character, and Melanie was so brave to actually hold me.
Oh.
You know, I'm quite big for her. And she was like, oh, the morning after, she said, like, my legs hurt so much, like squats.
What are you talking about? I'm a tank.
You are.
I know you are.
Oh, come on. And well, so my next question is that, well, you obviously hated working together, and I was just wondering how much time you spent together before filming started. Like, how did you guys interact? Because I believe, Melanie, you were in Australia, and Giulio, you were in Italy.
Yeah, we had, I think, 2 Skypes maybe before we both, 2 or 3 before we got to Syracuse, and then I think we had about a week before we started filming. So it was just like in the deep end. I guess you're my person now. that this is sort of a sink or swim situation, and luckily we got on quite famously. Otherwise, that would have been horrible. It could have been the worst.
It would
Can
have
I
been
actually
terrible. Can you imagine if we all didn't get along?
That would have
Oh
been
my
awful.
It would have imploded.
Like the relation that we have with Christa,
I would have been there every day. I would have been going, "You can do this. Hi, everybody. Let's just do what's on the script." No, fortunately, it wasn't that. I had all of the actors, everybody who worked on Gabriel's Inferno was so incredibly prepared. And Giulio and Melanie would spend every Sunday together. Well, you'd shoot Monday through Friday, and then every Sunday they would just spend together preparing for the entire week. And then even after a long day of shooting, 12, 13 hours later, they would come back, they'd have dinner together, and they would run lines again for the next day. It was really incredible. And then, of course, Julia, who's our own Julia Mitchell, Julia Barrett-Mitchell, was there, and she stayed the whole time in Syracuse. So even though you worked like random days throughout the schedule. So she just lived at the Craftsman Inn. And then and then Margaux was there too, and James. So you just like so randomly, like after these long days, go into the Craftsman Inn, restaurant and bar, and there they are, just sitting in the bar, eating. Everyone sort of gathered together. And
I was gonna say, yeah. So my character's in the whole thing, but because we shot over a long period of time, there would be about 3 weeks where I think I worked only 6 days scattered throughout. And I could see how over time Julia and Melanie were getting closer and closer as it went on, and how relationships were evolving over time as well. I had like an interesting perspective of everything because I got to kind of pop in and out a little bit more. And it was really interesting to see how the chemistry would get deeper, the trust would get deeper.
We would get more tired.
I mean, and that was the thing, they would come into the restaurant at about 10 p.m. every night and then say, hey, we have to go run lines. It was very impressive.
Well, I have to say, I came to the Craftsman a week before with Melanie, and it was just me, Melanie, the snow, and the leaves, and Tosca, basically. And we were reading the script mostly every day, and me and Melanie were walking outside. It was like this little street and then this huge grass field, and we were walking up and down, repeating all the scenes of the next week because we were so scared of being like not well prepared enough. And it's funny because I actually arrived and Melanie arrived, and I texted Melanie because we never met before in real life. Of course, we just met via Skype, and I texted her and she didn't reply. I was like, oh, maybe she doesn't want to see me. And so I went to get a bottle of water, and she was out there in pajamas, and she was grabbing some stuff to eat from this little fridge.
I hadn't seen my phone.
And she had like this messy hair, this big pajama. Like she didn't really want to see me that specific moment. And I loved her. I loved her because that's what she basically said something to me, and then she was like, "Oh, and don't you worry, I'm gonna be another person tomorrow. Don't worry. See you tomorrow. Good night."
I had such bad jet lag. It had been like 30 hours of flying, and traveling, and I was quite bedraggled by the time I got to Syracuse, and from the airport it's very dark, and I was turning up at about 11:30 at night, and I'm also from Australia, so we don't really do Halloween. So I rock up to this place that has this very sort of it's gorgeous, the place we were staying, but it has this sort of Puritan style roofing, and there was these wheat and fire and pumpkins. I was like, is this where I die, or is this where I make a movie? So it was all very exciting and terrifying.
We have yet to find out.
Let's go back.
That's an incredible backstory into how you guys first met and first interacted and then interacted thereafter. I think that's great. And it showed in the film how great your chemistry was, because a lot of the fans are commenting on how brilliant you guys were on screen together. So that's really exciting, and it paid off.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I told you I was a good actor, Tosca, and that I could fake very well the hate that I have towards Melanie.
You
But
faked it well.
Whoa.
But I want.
Yeah.
Can I ask something? Can I ask something?
Sure.
I would love to hear, from James and Margaux and Giulia, of course, if they want to say something about how they experienced. Because actually, we were very happy. We are actually, we did a couple of lives together, and they've spent so much time there, and especially, without working, that I would say that, they were part of the family, but they were doing in and out, in and out, in and out, and I think that's can be strange, because you really need to find that chemistry, because actually even Paul had a lot of scenes with Melanie, and it's not easy when you don't actually stay a lot of time. You don't spend a lot of time with that actor, and I think he did an amazing job. I've seen the movie, and they really did an amazing job. And really, guys, I want to say thank you for being so kind and supportive with me and Melanie, because we were going through a bit of a roller coaster, and I have to say that the human quality of you guys were incredible, and I really want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart because of that. Because it's absolutely not, I don't take it for granted, really.
Me either. And you guys were all so there for us, so supportive, and so ready to run lines or do whatever we needed. And yes, such wonderful people as well as wonderful actors. So yeah, we're very aware and feel really blessed.
Yeah, I was referring to James and Giulia, by the way.
Oh my god.
I mean, I have to. I'm gonna second and third that from Giulio and Melanie. James, Margaux, and Giulia. Just they came to set incredibly prepared, and they knew their character, and they knew they knew how they were going to perform it, and then they also listened to any kind of nuanced direction that I might give. But they had such a beautiful understanding of the characters, and to have actors that are that well prepared and relishing in the characters, like, and I say Margaux, I think, really relished in Christa. And by the way, Margaux is probably one of the sweetest human beings you've ever met in your entire life.
I mean,
Always the other day, all the women who play these characters,
wait, what?
I was just saying, all the antagonistic characters, Margaux and Haviland and Agnes are just the most beautiful, kind, gorgeous women who I'm totally obsessed with, and they're playing these like quite difficult people, and I love it. Testament to their wonderful acting, because that's not who they are as humans.
Guys, just Margaux, don't trust her, because she's a good actress. She can lie. Don't trust her.
Well, I actually have a couple of questions for Margaux too. I was wondering if you could talk about a little bit about are you like your character Christa in real life, like everyone's insinuating, or was it all in a
I think, honestly, I had so much fun playing Christa because I'm the exact opposite of her. Like, in real life, my biggest fear is like offending someone on accident or like coming across as rude. Like, I'm always like, what was that? Sorry? Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm always like apologizing, and like I just want people to like me. So when I got the opportunity to play Christa, I was like, this is so fun. I get to be so mean and there's no consequences, and I loved it. And like, especially because Melanie is like the nicest person ever in real life, and her character is so sweet. So like being that mean to her was fun, but I also felt kind of but I really enjoyed it.
What did you think of her when you first read the script?
I mean, my first thought was like, I definitely want to do this because it seems so fun, and because it is so out of my own character. But like, just the stuff that she gets away with, I don't know. Like, I could never do that in real life. Like, I would be way too embarrassed to say the things that she says. So I just was thrilled with her. I think she's a super fun character.
And fiery.
Yeah. No, she's great.
it definitely feels like while you're watching that you had fun playing her, just because she comes off so effortless and it's fun to watch.
I did. I had so much fun. I can't wait to play her again. I can't wait to start filming again.
We're together for another year or so.
We're so close. And James, I have a couple questions for you as well. What are some qualities of Paul that you liked and disliked?
What I like a lot about Paul, actually, he's just kind of like, he's kind of like what I want my sister to date. You know what I mean? He's like this really nice guy that's really great, really affable, likable, and he's just kind of like a solid guy that's going to be there no matter what. And that's what I really like about him. Like, he has lots of empathy, which I love. And then what I don't like about him, Mel and I would joke sometimes, like, "Oh, here's Paul. He's just letting Giulio do whatever she wants again." So, you know what I mean? That's sometimes like, but, you know what I mean? And I've been there and I've done that myself, you know, in, relationships in the past. And, like, you know, if you love somebody, you just hope that you can let them go. And if they return to you, then that's true love, so they say. So that's kind of what I love about Paul, is that he's kind of romantic. He is romantic. And really, I actually am myself quite a bit too. So I like to pretend I'm not, but no.
Hey, James, you're making me like Paul a little bit more, and I hated Paul.
I know you were telling me how much you hated Paul before we got online here.
And now we're going to have a new...
I don't know, you just talked about it, and I'm like, okay, oh yeah, I see it.
Guys, James is the sweetest guy I met so far in this movie. Like, he's the nicest person ever.
Yeah.
I love
Thanks, G. Thanks, G.
And to throw a little bit of fire out there, James, who do you think Giulio should end up with, Paul or Gabriel? Allie wrote these questions, by the way.
Sorry? Can you say it again?
Who do you think Giulia should end up with, Paul or Gabriel?
For me?
That's
No,
for James.
James. Well, you can answer that.
Oh.
I want James.
Because I would say
for
James.
Me or for G?
I would say
For you.
It's for you, James.
Is it for me?
I would say Paul. I would say Paul.
You would say Paul.
At least he remembers, you know. At least he remembers the day before. Gabriel's is like, let's have a drink.
The day
Let's
before,
have a drink, and then they.
years before.
Who are you?
After an extremely traumatic event.
James.
And yeah, so for me, it's just like, I'll do a little Paul answer. It's whoever she wants. That's
such a Paul answer.
Such a Paul answer. I love it.
Classic Paul.
I think the only part about Paul I hated was that you called her a little rabbit, and I thought that was so cute.
Oh, but
everything you're saying right now is so sweet. Like, God, okay, fine.
I've been
James,
practicing
her
beforehand.
reaction to you, because we watched it together in the office, and Lauren's reaction right when you came on screen, she just lost it, but then admitted what a good guy you were. But she was, for some reason,
I think legitimately you first came on screen, and I was like, "Who's that guy?" So but,
yeah, there's a great Team Paul people that are really nice and supportive. So I'm happy about
it's the reason it's a love triangle. There are people on your side, so more power to you.
I'll take what I can get for sure.
I love it. Thank you so much. And Giulia, I have a question for you as well. We got to see some fun, sassy moments with Rachel. What did you like most about her and playing her?
My favorite part about playing her is calling Giulio an ass. Favorite part.
you mean Gabriel?
Gabriel, right?
I mean Gabriel.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey.
No, I'm obviously joking and being a little bit serious, but when I was reading the script, Giulio, I love you. I'm so glad that you're well, and I'm really happy to see you. I mean that very sincerely. Hi. Reading the script, when I read it for the first time, when I was reading Gabriel's character, I'm Julia Barrett-Mitchell thinking, God, this guy's an asshole. So then when my character finally is the first person to say, hey, stop being an ass, I felt very relieved that I was the character to actually do that. I was relieved that there was a character to do that, and I'm very pleased that my role in the narrative is to kind of get him to stop being an ass.
Track.
Yeah.
I love the bit. I love the bit when you say it's Julie.
Oh my God, watching those scenes is so funny. I was watching with my best friend, and I had to turn to her in the amount of time and say, Julia loves this and Julia loves that. I paused it and said, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about this person right now. How weird is this?
That was something that a lot of people pointed out when you were casted. They were like, wait, Julia Barrett-Mitchell? You mean Julia Mitchell? Like the character? And they freaked out at the coincidence of it. It was crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, but I love how much humor. I like that my character seems to just add some levity in the humor and keep Gabriel in check. That is definitely my favorite.
She's great. She's there to smack people upside the head.
Your character is the tie to the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pardon?
It's the tie to the family. Like you're the one that really reminds Gabriel that he is part of a family, and so that he's not alone. So it's really quite beautiful, and you can do that by being completely honest with him, which is great because that's what family can do.
Yeah, and I think similarly to the natural chemistry that everyone had, I think Giulio and I do have this very natural kind of like I kill you, but I also love you.
People can see it.
That for you, like that chemistry, that sibling chemistry definitely seemed to be there. So that was very easy and that was very fun to live out. And for underneath that all for there to be a lot of love underneath it all was nice.
That's awesome. I love that. And I have a couple questions for you as well, Giulio. A couple more. Were you nervous about taking on such a beloved role? Because Professor Emerson, Gabriel is such a huge character to a lot of people. Was there any pressure behind that for you?
I would say absolutely not. I absolutely had a lot of confidence, especially with the American accent. Was something I always done my entire life. Tosca is not really demanding.
No.
So I would say it was a very pleasant experience in the next 2-3 weeks, I have to say, when I actually accepted the movie. No, absolutely no pressure at all.
Great, that's awesome.
I think the very first week of filming, which was, of course, so this is just a little bit of backstory. Some people know this, some people don't. But here we are in Syracuse, New York. All of us are not really from the New York area. I'm South African and living in Los Angeles. We have an Australian who's lives in super humid weather, generally speaking. And we have an Italian who's like beautiful summer, beautiful weather all the time. And then we arrive in Syracuse and we're like, what's going on? We don't know each other. We're freezing our asses off. And then the Friday before, we start filming on the Monday. The weather seems beautiful. The fall, the leaves have changed color. It's really beautiful. And then on Friday, they have this crazy icy wind that storms through Syracuse, blowing all the leaves off of all the trees. And we have to start shooting on Monday, and the weather had turned and dropped like 20 degrees. And we're like, okay, Monday, we're shooting outside in an orchard, an apple orchard. You guys are going to wear basically t-shirts. It's 39 degrees.
That's cool.
So glad you're here. Can you please come and work with us for 12 hours or 13 hours outside in the cold?
It was like a baptism of fire by night.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Also, just a little hint, a little shout out to our production design team. A little shout out. I mean, they built all those sets, which were incredible. And by the way, like Tracy Hayes, who's our production designer, read the books back to back, and like each line is like what was described had to be in there. But she went to that orchard and she she pinned 750 apples to the trees because there were no apples because of that wind. And so
Crazy.
pin apples to the trees.
That's incredible.
Information. Yeah.
Yeah, spoiler alert for the later in the movie flashback back to the orchard scene. Right? I believe there's 2 flashbacks in the first part. And if I'm wrong, please tell me.
There's one
flashback.
One.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah.
I've seen more than one of the movies. I'm fine. It's fine, guys. And Giulio, I have one more question. What did you learn about yourself as an actor from this experience, if you learned anything at all?
Well, of course, I was joking before. The amount of pressure was huge, and I felt a massive expectation. First from myself, because I had this big challenge with the accent, and I had this big challenge with, traveling and go somewhere very far away from my home and work with people that I never met before. I had never had the chance to meet them before, actually, as the Syracuse experience. And I only met Tosca in Rome once for my birthday. During the day of my birthday, we actually had a lovely conversation with wine and vodka, if I can say it.
Yeah, you had vodka. But, well, I mean, you had such a tiny bit of vodka. But yes.
Well, yeah, more or less. It looks like, but I actually had 5 before. But but I have to say that, like Gabriel, that is capable of completely change his life, through basically his work. I would say that as an actor, I really learned that with the will, you are unstoppable. If you have the will and you put the will on something, the will makes sense. The will.
I think so. Yeah.
That you want to do something and you test yourself. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you fail, it doesn't matter if you fall, as long as you fall forward. I really learned how to, it was a big test for myself, and I have to say that overall, I think I'm a better actor today because I've done it. And even if maybe people will not be happy about it, I am very happy about myself. I'm very happy with what I've done. So I don't want to feel, arrogant, but I really believe that if you believe in it, if you believe in yourself and you go out there with fears, with a lot of doubts, but you still go out there, you show up, you just can learn, you just can grow. And I have to say thanks to Tosca for this, because she actually gave me the chance to grow. And it's been a very intense experience for me. And Tosca knows what I'm talking about, the accent, a lot of challenges. But I have to say that I'm so pleased that I've done it, so pleased that I accepted it. I'm so happy with myself that I had the chance to, go out there and try it and do my best. So it's been a hell of a ride, and I'm very happy to be here today.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've been able to see a lot of responses yet. You'll see a lot more tomorrow, but people are really blown away by your performance. So I think you nailed it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it
there.
I couldn't do it without Tosca and Melanie and all the people that are involved into this movie, because they really supported me from day one to the end of the shooting. So really, this if they're gonna love the movie and they're gonna love my performance, it's absolutely it's not on me, it's on them, it's on the people that I have around me. And I have to say again, even people that we don't know, for example, Thomas, the guy that Tosca gave me to support me during this crazy process, and it was my guardian angel, and we were like twins because we're very similar at the end. I found like a friend for life, and the fact that Tosca decided to give me someone like him, and not just him, but a lot of other people that were involved into this movie, it just tells people how much she respected and she respected the expectations, and she wanted to do her best, because production wise it's not always that easy to have all this facilities for the actors, but she really did her best, and so it's on her. It's not on me.
No, I would say it's definitely on all of you guys. And Thomas, just so you guys know, Thomas was Giulio's dialect coach who worked with us in Syracuse, and was just so it was serendipitous that I got to meet him initially, and then introduced him to Giulio. But you know, you should see Giulio and Melanie. And we would joke about it at times, to be like, here we have the South African, the Italian, and the Australian are coming in to make a film about Americans in Canada. And it's just a very strange world that we were in. You know, at the end of the day, I'm a strong advocate that, you know, we are international and we should all be accepting of everyone. And at the end of the day, Giulio and Melanie and Julia and James and Margaux all portrayed each of these characters so exceptionally, and they were these characters, really believing them and were there for us. And so it doesn't, the accent is, you know, right now the comments that we're getting right now is that your accent is quite yummy and people are enjoying it. So I say, great.
That's good.
Thanks,
That's good.
Well
Quite
done.
yummy. I like it.
Well done. Yeah. And I have one last question that Ali added, which is, throughout this process of promoting the movie and stuff, this character named Spoiler Man has been created, and someone even made a comic about it. I was wondering if you could talk about where that came from. How that came from.
I have no idea where it came from, but I loved it. And I actually, Tosca hates it. And no, actually not Tosca, Hallie hates it, to be honest. But you know, it's funny because, I mean, I just like to make tricks and jokes and stuff like that. And I think that overall the spirit was, you know, the fans really understand the spirits that we had on set. And so this joke about Spider-Man, of Ellen being mad at me and Tosca being nice at me and mad at Ellie, or vice versa, was very much what we were going through during the entire you know, shooting process. And I think that somehow the community, it's on the same page. You know, we really, there's this I don't know, this feeling of being in a family that is very overwhelming, and it's fantastic. I remember one day that me and Melanie got drunk on set because somebody came and gave us some moonshine and some biscuits.
Members.
Drunk is an exaggeration.
And Tosca wasn't drinking. I was like, oh, this is so good. This is so good. But it was like 7 a.m, and I was like, oh gosh, I need to have a breakfast now. And you know, it was funny. We really had a lot of fun. And Spoiler Man is basically the peak of this. You know, it's like I don't know. I got into this role of spoiling things, and I actually am like that because I like to poke people a lot. So
the day before we started shooting, I met with Giulio and Thomas, and completely straight-faced, Giulio said they've changed the schedule. Everything we're working on, it's gone. We're not doing it.
So mean. And
in that moment, I was like, I can do this. And then I realized that once again, he was full of shit. So I got used to questioning.
Oh my God. I know, he's been showing that all throughout this Q&A too, just the dry sarcasm. Brilliant. It's great. And so thank you for that, Giulio. And Melanie, I have a couple questions for you as well. The first one being, what is your process of getting into character, especially for an emotional scene? Because I know every actor has their own method, and I was wondering if you could talk a little about yours.
Well, I think it depends on the scene. I think a lot of work went into thinking about where she'd come from, that she had been in a situation with a mother who was alcoholic and abusive and died when she was very young, and a father who didn't just quite know what he was doing. I loved her, but you know, didn't really have the skill set. And so for me, it was, you know, I come from a big, very loving family, and that's made me a very centered self-assured human being, and I'm very lucky. But Giulio didn't have that, so it was really putting myself into that place, and all of her reactions and her feelings about things comes from her foundation experiences. So that, and then a lot of actors use things that have fire for them. We call it substitution, things that you can put in place that already live inside you. It is one way to get there as well. But the script was 200 pages. So much of where these characters come from and what they're experiencing is in there. So a lot was given to me, and also having an acting partner who was so present. So much of what you find is what the other person is giving you. So I was very, very fortunate, and also to have Tosca, such a clear guider and helm of the ship.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was about to say that I was very lucky to work with myself. Yeah, I was a great partner for myself. So
Ever so humble you are.
Non-stop. It's non-stop.
Stop being an ass.
No, I have to say that
Thanks,
Melanie has done an amazing job, and most of it comes. I mean, for me, most of the time you have to really struggle. You have to really work with substitutions, and you have to dig inside yourself and find yourself in that specific moment of your life where you had a trauma and you like a traumatic moment of your life, and so you bring all that pain in the surface again, because we're actually trying to, like Gabriel, to suffocate that pain each one of us has. A painful moment of his life, and we as an actors have the sometimes we need to go back there and dig and pull it out, and it's not easy to live with it, but I have to say that Melanie was so good that I just had to listen, and I just had to listen and respond. And I think that really much what is on the movie, it's basically because Tosca somehow believed in us in the from the very beginning, and I have to say that I had the best partner that I ever had in my entire career. Like, I would love to work with Melanie for the rest of my life in Tosca, because they were just so nice. Like, it's always it's very much, I mean, it's a fact. I'm not saying this because I want to be nice with them, but it is a fact. Like, the fact that even Tosca, that was so specific and so demanding, but at the same time so loving and so caring and so nice, and she was able to give you so much confidence that I completely forget that the camera was there. I was just with Melanie in the scene, and that is very rare. And I think that you guys can see there are a lot of beautiful moments where we're just so connected. And for me as an actor, that's the best that can happen. So besides the cold and the leaves and the snow and all the difficulties that we've been through, I have to say that this was a very blessed set. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was a beautiful experience. Super high stress, not enough time ever, and crazy weather and strange circumstances that would just hit us, and things coming from left field all the time. And you're like, it's okay, I got this, we'll be okay, we're gonna do this now, and it'll all be okay, this is how it's gonna be wonderful.
You can definitely tell when the day was hard, because you can see Tosca behind the monitor doing this. And so I was going to Melanie and say, don't fuck it up the lines, because it's not a good day today. Just don't fuck it up. And she was like, you don't have to fuck it up, because I speak English and you don't. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just like that.
This is like, it's like a quick meditation that I do, though. So it really helps me. So if I'm like highly stressed,
and
you can't talk to her in that moment. You just
calm yourself down, and then you can sort of think about what needs to be done.
And to be honest, I have to say,
10-minute meditation. I have a 2-second meditation that I can.
It seems to work. I have to say that overall, I'm also kind of sad that I didn't have the chance to work with James and Margaux more. I had the chance to work with Julia. She's amazing, but they've done an amazing job, and it's kind of a pity that we really didn't have much, you know, interactions, and actually Melanie has much more than me, and I mean, I have interactions with them, but only as a professor, basically, and it would have been nice to work with them more, because I really love the way they work, the way they approach the scene. Margaux was so prepared. She was speaking such a good Italian. I was impressed. I was like, whoa. How did you come by your Tuscan accent?
Luckily, my modeling agent was from Tuscany, so I just called
really?
her up and I was like, "Can you send me a voice note of you saying this?" And she sent it to me, and I just like listened to it over and over and over again. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah. And James the same. It was so prepared. I loved it.
You guys are great.
Thanks, dude.
We're all learning Italian now, just so you guys know. In the future films, we all go to Europe, so
Woo!
yeah. and Giulio, you'll get your wish. You will get to actually have more scenes with James. Not that many scenes with Margaux, but she'll be with us.
Nice.
Oh no.
Shut up.
A really quick shout out. It was founding member Ashley Carver who gave you guys the moonshine. So I just
Yes. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting them drunk
Thank
on
you.
set at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Exaggeration.
That was
I love
definitely
it.
her fault.
And Melanie, can you talk a little bit about how this experience was different from other sets you may have been a part of? Like
Right.
what set it apart?
Well, I think the biggest thing was Julia's in almost every scene. So it's huge. The level of focus that you have to have for an extended period of time, and it's different to focus with other jobs. When it's a focus that you have to not only be mentally but also emotionally focused as to where that character is at that point in time, it's huge and exhausting. And one of the only ways of making it through that is focusing your attention on the other person, and having a wonderful scene partner really helps that. So that was different. Being out in the elements so much. Other places I filmed, Australia, LA, it's been a lot warmer. So battling that, I'm from quite a tropical climate. So I felt it. I'm not a huge person either, so I feel the cold in my very bones. So that was
when we pour rain on you in 39 degree
weather. A couple of days ago, I posted a very glamorous picture of me wrapped up in many blankets with a towel on my head, trying to get warm. That was probably the coldest I may have ever been in my life, because it was freezing, and then having water soaking and shaking. So that wasn't really acting, guys. That was all real. That was 100% authentic. But in saying all of that, I think having an experience that's this intense really shows what you're made of and tests your mettle. And I think that's always so exciting, to do something that really challenges you. You know, we have but one life. And doing something like this is really a once in a lifetime kind of thing. So it's very exciting.
I love that. That's great. And I just have a couple of more questions for everyone to answer if they wanted, and then we can wrap things up. The first one being, what is something we would be surprised to learn about one of your co-stars? Like if you had something maybe you learned while on set that you were surprised by, if you could share that story.
Oh dear.
I would say that you can see Margaux. She's very skinny, but she eats like crazy. She eats so many pancakes. Like every time that I was walking around the Craftsman, she was eating pancakes and I don't know, some huge plates. I tried once. I couldn't finish it. I tried once and I couldn't finish it, and she actually had it all. So, I don't know. Funny fact.
Julia Barrett-Mitchell has an incredible singing voice. She's got a really beautiful voice.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. I would say James surprised me by knowing how to rock climb, because one of our days off, we went to the rock climbing gym and belayed each other, and it was super fun. And so James is my climbing buddy.
That's awesome.
You kicked my butt. You kicked my butt
It's not
everywhere.
a competition.
I know, but you know, I'm a guy. I have to be like, I gotta win. No,
That's great.
am I supposed to say one too?
Yeah. Sure.
I said G likes to be Little Spoon.
He likes to do what?
You like to do a little spoon when you're cuddling.
That's true.
How do you know, James? How do you
How
know?
did you know that?
Hey, that's for G to find out.
What the hell?
Oh,
I have never heard that phrase, but it makes so much
Really?
sense.
What? You never heard the phrase "little spoon, big spoon"?
No.
Are you serious?
Oscar.
We work in romance. That's how people cuddle. Someone's the big spoon, someone's the little spoon.
I didn't. It's the first time for me.
Yeah, finding something
Now
out.
you know,
James,
what's this next movie?
James,
It's called The Little Spoon.
I remember I was the big
Yeah,
spoon. So you
that's
were.
a good idea.
TM.
Oh my God. You
And then we have Margaux, who's like this insane live streaming video game player who's out there on Twitch.
You're on Twitch?
Yeah, like playing. What do you play? Not World of
Call
Warcraft.
of Duty.
Call of Duty.
God, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Why are
I
you
was
so
working
bad
with all Margaux.
That's hilarious.
It's way cool. It's cool. It's too cool. I don't even know the words. Clearly.
I'm a huge nerd.
On our days off, she went to go buy some more gear at the strip mall. She's like, that's how I'm gonna pass my time, and that was prophetic, wasn't it, Marco?
I did. I bought a mouse so that I could play some video game on my computer while I was at the Craftsman. I don't remember what it was. I was playing Overwatch, yeah, another video game.
Mind blown. That's amazing.
But you wouldn't know. Wait, I finally have a good one.
Yeah, go ahead.
That Giulio's mom was the guardian angel of the whole set. I guess we've been throwing time on that, but Giulio's mom graced us with her presence for almost the whole shoot.
Aw.
And I guess it's less about his mom.
Julio's mom's the best.
That's so cool.
My mom's the best. Julio's mom's dead.
You might not know that Giulio has the best mom in the universe, and I'm.
He's really sweet.
Oh look, there's Tasha's mom.
Give me anything. Just
Hi, mate. You're also the. The funniest part is that also about 3 weeks in, I saw her there, and we had many meals together, and she forgot my name.
Aww.
Which is hilarious. Basically her son's name.
Yeah.
My mom.
The character's name. But it was very sweet. It was very sweet.
She was, you know, she was in character. She was taking some of Gabriel's characteristics out and make them personal. So no, I you know, my mom unfortunately got through a very difficult moment because she has lost her mom during the filming process, and you know, she was very much in a very delicate place for her, and so I was very happy that she was there, and she was, you know, Julia was so nice that, you know, they had a lot of walks together, and I was happy that she was not, you know, hanging alone during those moments, because actually those first 2 weeks we were so much out in the cold that she came the first day at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I remember that my mom was like jogging around the apple orchard.
Oh my God.
It was so freezing cold that she couldn't even stay inside the car. It was too cold. She was jogging all day long around, and I was happy and glad that, you know, Julia spent time with her. And sorry she didn't remember your name.
No, it's not that she didn't remember my name. It's that everyone on set's name is Julia, and I thought it was fun.
But she loves you. She loves you so much.
I
like,
love her. So sweet.
That's so beautiful. I love that.
yeah. And I have to say that Melanie loves to eat garlic in a very early hours of the day. and that's very interesting.
This is not true. We were both very good at staying off onion and garlic as a kindness to each other.
He has this very bizarre theory about being natural with garlic and onions, and that's how she cures herself. And yeah.
Giulio tried to get me to take ice baths with the Wim Hof method.
Like already being on set outside.
Like, I'm good. I'm freezing enough as it is.
It's too cold. You don't need an ice bath. Just step outside.
And for people who don't know, Tosca has this one directing method that she uses on set, and I don't know how often it was used there, but when in doubt, kiss. So if you forget your line in a moment, just start kissing each other. And it all great.
We do have this thing on PassionFlix movies, specifically when it comes to more intimate scenes. Then you're like, well, when in doubt, we'll just start kissing. Yeah, fair enough. Just when in doubt, just kiss. We didn't have it that much on Gabriel's Inferno because we didn't have the slow burn. But on our other movies, that is definitely the motto.
I love it.
We'll see that on Rapture.
This next question feels a little already pretty obvious, but who was the funniest person on set?
Thank you guys.
I was.
Yeah.
Dennis.
Love it.
Yes.
Life.
I love Dennis. For those of you who don't know, Dennis was our director of photography, and he is just such a wonderful, calm, kind, talented human being. We all adore him so much.
Yeah.
So if you see this, Dennis, peace out. We love you.
Yeah, I love Dennis. Dennis is the best. And
Hey,
he's done
Dennis.
all of the movies that I directed for PassionFlix. So,
Can you imagine?
There's the wonderful thing about Dennis is that you'll sit there and you'll shoot this incredible scene, and you'll be like, "So that was great. What do you think?" And he goes, "Yes."
It was adequate.
This was adequate.
He goes, "That was adequate."
Adequate. Yeah, it's funny to see the relationship that they have, Tosca and Dennis, because actually Tosca is, there's bulk and she's very calm, but inside everything is going on. She's trying to be in control, in charge of everything, every detail, the glasses, what do you say, where the camera is, who are them, how you're dressed up. Like, she's on every bit of the movie. She's there. And Dennis was very much like the opposite. It looks like he's not doing much, but he's actually sitting there and looking, and she's basically he's looking the lights. So he's like calmly looking around and then talking very, very slowly to somebody else. And I remember that one day Tosca was very stressed. She was like doing this meditation. And then Dennis was like this. And then Tosca was like, I feel better. And she woke up and she looked at Dennis and was like, what's going on? And then like, nothing. Nothing.
It's just relaxing.
I was just thinking.
Exactly. I do this and I now do it too, because he goes, I just
want
to relax, so I just put my hands right here, and then I'm relaxed, and I'm like, oh my god, that's
it works.
It works. Yeah, like this.
Like, this feels great. So by the end of it, all of us were like,
exactly.
How we just relax. People who don't know are just like watching us, and everyone's just like, how you doing? We're good. Just imagine what it must look like outside. I mean, it's pretty funny.
There were a lot of really great people on the crew.
Yeah. This was the first set I actually didn't work on. I worked on all of the sets except for Hollywood Dirt, and I actually lived with Dennis when we were filming The Protector in London.
Yeah.
Which was an incredible experience because, ladies, let me tell you, he's a great chef. Yeah. This lovely relationship where he'd buy the food and cook the meals, and then I did the cleanup. But he'd always take a picture of me with the plate so I could send it to my mom, and so he could send it to Tosca to be like, look at the meal we're having, be jealous.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Every day I get a picture.
It was wonderful. He's a beautiful man. And I have one last question, and I think it's a really fun one. And we've touched on a lot of great memories so far while talking tonight. But what is one memory that you will walk away with from this experience? You can each
Spoonie with James.
Yeah, with James.
I agree. Totally.
God, just
one.
I love that.
There's so many.
There's so many, I know.
How cold it was.
How cold it was.
Oh gosh.
It was cold.
I'll go. I think for me, like, because I was probably there the least amount of time compared to everybody else. And so I think I spent more time with people at the hotel than actually on set. And I just, like, I love, like, the bar at the Craftsman, thinking about it makes me so happy because we would all just, like, long day, everybody's tired, but we still, like, came together for kind of, like, family dinner if we could. Giulio and Melanie, sometimes they were still working when James and Giulia would come with me. But when we could all get just and have drinks and dinner and stuff, it was so nice. And we all got along so well. And so that just, like, makes me so happy and makes me look forward to shooting the next ones and seeing all of you again in person.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the things that I take away is that it is a beautiful family that we created, and I'm really excited about doing the sequels, and I get to spend more time with everyone. And now everyone knows how I work, so just do what I say, and everything's going to be fun. But Margaux, see you tomorrow.
I think
I would say the moment. Sorry. Go for it, please.
I guess piggybacking off of what Margaux said, I guess other than Giulio and Melanie, of the actors, I was there the longest, but the memories of as filming went on and I would kind of return and just meet more and more cast members as the weeks would pass and sort of get through the whole cast by the end, there was a lot of just friendship and the varying personalities that came out, and just finding that each relationship was really unique, but mostly it was very supportive and fun. And yeah, there are a lot of good memories of on set and off set, just bonding with everybody. And the crew, of course, not just the cast. The crew was obviously a huge part of it. They were there. How long was the shoot? 8 weeks? It was so long.
No.
More.
It was 6 weeks. No, it was 6 weeks.
No. He's like 6 years.
No?
It was 6 weeks.
Oh,
And then
gosh. It looked like, to me, it was like 5 months. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was 6 weeks.
I'll say that the crew as well. There was just such a supportive. I think I would mostly remember just how supportive both the cast and the crew was, and the fun times.
Julia, you look like Cameron Diaz right now. You know that?
She does. I love the hair. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say that I have two beautiful moments. One is when I was working with Melanie and we were finding something good, some moments here and there where we were so connected that they had to say stop, and we were like, oh well, okay, let's go back to real life. And I think, and Melanie was saying to me, see, that's her way to say when she was happy. And another great moment was like when I was chasing Tosca's kids around. So I'm playing this monster game, and it was such a relief to see them. I'm like, I'm the monster, and they ran away, they laugh, and I chased them. It was very special,
Giulio, may I tell the story of what happened when you were playing with Tosca's kid when you were shooting the kitchen scene?
Oh God.
What happened?
Oh, I'd be so happy to remind you that one time you decided it would be really, really fun to lunge down and lift Tosca's son into the air like a superhero. And you proceeded to rip your pants from your butt all the way to the ankle. And that was the only pair of pants that wardrobe had.
Oh my God.
So in this scene, what the fans don't know is your butt is taped shut.
Oh my God, that's
True.
incredible.
I actually
Remember that?
I have the video.
Oh, I forgot.
I have the video because I was filming you doing this, and it was like not just one, it was like up and down, and like these squats in these tight pants, up and down, and like the third one's like rip.
I didn't see it happen, but I just heard everyone scream from the room over.
That's incredible.
Because you know, I was helping him to become Spider-Man, so it was like spidering all around, and I was letting him fly, you know, and then I squat to let him jump, and yeah, everybody saw my butt.
Wow. I feel like it's not a real set until someone rips their pants. So I'm very happy with you. That's hilarious.
I think for me, there was so many heightened, almost out of body moments where you're like, this is actually happening. I think there was a moment on rain day when I just had a massive bucket of water poured over me. Rain was coming down. I was shivering. We were about to start, and I was like, this is my life. This is weird. And then got in the car, and, you know, we had that great scene, which I think is one of my favorites in the film. So that moment, the first day when we were freezing in this apple orchard, and even the second day when I was doing the scene with Giulio, and I came out and I was talking to him, and I remember looking at him and going, oh, you're a really good actor.
Oh,
this is going to be okay. And him actually being so present with me, where I was like, oh, we're going to be able to do this. This is going to be okay. That seared into my memory. And then, oh no, that's in the next film. Not going to tell you. Not gonna say it.
but I love you. Thank you for catching it. I cut her off during the red carpet because she was going to talk about where this first movie.
And it ends on.
Don't say it. But you said that was one of your favorite parts, so that's exciting. It's my favorite part. And James, did you talk about a memory you'll take away?
Yeah, I haven't said anything, but I think Tosca briefly mentioned it in the virtual cocktails we had prior to my screening. But just watching the film too, I was really happy with that moment in the script that I got to play with Melanie in the cafe. I won't give too much away, but I thought that Tosca was really specific about hitting those words a certain way, and I think that was a really important moment, and I felt that I was really happy with how it turned out, and Melanie obviously was so amazing to work with in that scene. And the words that I said, I think were just really important, especially for a movie like this, but also for just today's climate to really, you know, and for a man to say to a woman, I think it's something that is taken for granted or not even addressed at all nowadays. And that's something that actually I feel really personally about too. And you know, having a sister and all that kind of stuff, you know, and just knowing that, you know, somebody maybe could say that to her, and you know, just a guy being nice and genuine to a woman and without expecting anything in return. That was just really, really great. I love it.
You're turning Lauren into a Paul. You know that.
No, it's happening. James, what are you doing to me? It's fine. Okay.
Oh.
Fine. You're good. Paul who? And Giulio, aside from spooning Paul, what was your favorite memory?
You talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Theo?
Yeah.
As I said, a couple of moments where I really connected with Melanie. There's a bit, not in the first part of the first book, but at the very end of the first book, when we were doing a scene in front of the fire pit, and I was actually opening up as a character. I was revealing her the truth about my character, and I remember that at a certain moment I couldn't stop crying, and I remember that particular specific moment very strongly, very firmly, and I think, and I thought to myself, wow, this is very special. Like it's not that common, you know. And then Tosca came and said, I don't want you to cry. I was like, oh. But I have to say that overall, that that moment was very strong. And I don't know, I just have so many vivid memories that it's very hard to pick one, you know. But the entire experience was a blast. Was fantastic.
Awesome. I love that. And Tosca, do you have I don't think you can pick, but do you have a favorite one memory you take away?
You know, I guess my memory is just the overall experience of being in Syracuse with everyone and making this. I was not expecting to have such a great time, and my kids were with us the entire time, as everyone mentioned, and my kids came to set every day, and all of you guys played with them and included them, and so now you know, just so you guys know, my kids actually, they're not with me right now because they couldn't fly out, but they sent me this virtual red carpet that they did at home. And Carolyn, our nanny, who you guys know as well, did like red carpet interviews with my kids. Tell us the best thing that you did on you know, in Syracuse. And just so you know, Isabeau says that her favorite actress is Melanie. Sorry, guys. But mainly because you are the voice of the mom and Julie.
Oh yeah.
My cartoon dog acting, not my romantic lead acting.
Cartoon dog acting.
Hey man,
and
right audience.
yeah, exactly. And that she can't wait for season 2. And I was like, okay, but we're talking about
So glad to hear that.
Inferno now. And Grayson really appreciates the monster.
I love Grace.
Yeah. Overall, I think it was just I think probably one of the life experiences that my family will remember forever.
I love that. And I think that's a pretty nice note to end on. So I think we'll say goodbye. We've been talking for quite a while, which is lovely. And it was so lovely to see some of you again. I think I met any of you at one of the premieres? I can't remember. One of the other premieres.
We met that.
Yes.
Well,
and yeah, Melanie came into the office.
Amazing. Love it. But it was great to meet the rest of you. It was lovely to have you on, and thank you for joining us for this Q&A. And I hope you guys are staying happy and safe, and that if you haven't yet watched the movie in full, you watch it soon and you would really enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you,
everybody. Thank you so much.
Guys.
Thank you very much.
It's so nice to see you.
Lovely to see you.
Thanks, everybody.
Nice to see you.
I'm gonna go back to sleep at 6 a.m. here. Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Bye, guys.